Hi, welcome back to Let's Talk About God. And I'm your host, Angelique. In today's episode, I want to talk about the woman at the well. And what brings me to the woman at the well is me and my friend was having a conversation the other day, and we were talking about relationships. And she said something to me on the hand of, she's like, I'm not like you, how easily you are to let go of relationships. She was like, she loved too hard. She know people can do better. She have a good heart, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I understand, like, me too. But let me tell you where it comes from, how I know I'm able to let people go. So I want to start a little bit with my testimony. I really can't share my whole testimony because it's not time yet, but for this subject, I need to go in a little bit of detail about my own life and when I met Jesus at the well. So remember, I told you I met God in 2010 when I went to jail, right? I needed a miracle. I needed to get out of jail. We got caught with like 9 ounces of heroin and they were saying 20 years for me. So I'm like, Lord, if there's a God, now is the time. I need a miracle. So while I'm in jail, I'm reading the Bible and I'm reading Psalms 91, Psalms 35 every day. Like I'm waiting for the Lord to save me. And at the same time, I had to believe that he would. So while I was believing in that, I had a personal prayer in my heart, which was I had a 3-year-old son, but I wanted to have another child. So I was asking him, is it able, I was praying about another child, which at that point, there's a story of a lady named Hannah. She didn't have children and she was married to a king. He had another wife. This wife had kids and things like that. So she said a prayer. So I was like Hannah. I wanted to say the prayer Hannah said. So fast forward, I get out of jail. 2017, I get pregnant with my second son. So my boys are 10 years apart from each other. So 7 years later, I get pregnant. So now that I'm pregnant, I know, God is a miracle worker. In my life, he's a miracle worker. He got me out of jail. I'm pregnant. But at the same time, I'm just like, okay, Lord, like, this relationship is not working. So I know I said that in a previous video, but what happened was I was probably like 4 or 5 months pregnant and I said a prayer to the Lord. I was like, Lord, I know you have more for me. And it's just not all about me. These relationships that I'm about to talk about, it was good that it didn't work out on both parts. Like, it's not just me. They didn't work out for me. I didn't work out for them as well. We're still cool. We all leave on good terms. Nobody's bad. Nobody's evil. But I'm going to talk about my situation from a biblical standpoint. So I said, I was like, Lord, I'm like a flower. I need to bloom. Like in this land, if you keep me here, I'm just gonna die. I'm a will and die. Like I know if you have more for me, if this is not it, can you break us up? Like I need you to show me if you have more. Like I'm ready to let go. We were both like complacent together, been together off and over 10 years. So probably the ninth month, we were breaking up. And I was like, I panicked. I was like, oh Lord, like the devil's trying to break up my family. And I'm just like, oh my, like what do? I don't know what to do. Like I said, I was panicking. I was distraught. I was thinking the devil was, hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. That was my son. So like I was saying, I was like, Lord, I know that there was something greater for me in the sense of me talking about the Lord. So I know in that relationship, like his family had a church. So I was thinking like, oh, maybe I could be evangelist at the church. But I was settling. So anyway, so we broke up. So I go back to the Bible. Like I said, I like to go to the Old Testament where I know the Lord is talking. So when I go to the Old Testament looking for answers, I'm like, what's going on? He gave me a word of restoration. And he said, I will give you back what was stolen. I will restore you, all these type of things. And my first interpretation was he was going to restore me and my son's father relationship. Even though in my heart I knew that's not where I wanted to be. But at the time, I'm just having a baby. I'm just like, okay, I guess he's going to restore, he's going to fix whatever is broken in this relationship. So lo and behold, like I say, in that relationship, if I want one dog, I get two. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have everything I need. If I say I want to go jet skiing or I want to jet ski, I might look outside in the front yard and there's a pair of jet skis, things like that in that relationship. So as I was waiting and holding on, because I was kind of confused about what he was doing in my life, my son's father he got married to someone, actually someone like with the same birthday as me. And why is that important? Because for me, the Lord had to close that door for me. He had to close it in the way of to where I couldn't go back. So the comparison of both our birthdays, not to say we like the same kind of person or anything like that, it's just the point of a decision had to be made, and the decision was not me. No problem. So I move on, I'm going to the next land. So I'm gonna call the relationships land. So as I'm going to the next land, the land was fruitful there. It was good land. But like I said, in that relationship, I always felt like I was fighting with this person about the Lord. And I couldn't stay in that land. And I left that land for that reason. I couldn't stay here. This is not where I'm going to grow in the Lord at. And I got in another relationship. And then there was a last relationship. I did have a son in the third relationship. But that relationship was not for me. It just was not for me. There was a lot going on with that. So in the fourth relationship, I wasn't looking for a relationship. This person was younger than me, but it was more so like a friendship. And the point I'm making about these lands that I was in, that I was willing to let go of, is the same thing like when Jesus was tempted by the devil. Now, as I go through these stories, remember, I'm tying it back to Bible verses. So these are things that I have read in the Bible, but they pop up in your life whenever they pop up in your life. And the Holy Spirit reminds you and calls them back to your remembrance to help you go through what you're going through. So like I said, my friend was asking me or saying to me, oh, I'm not like you. I don't know, like how easy it is. And it's not easy. I had to learn. I had to know that I wasn't settling. I had to know whose I was. I had to know where I was going. Like I say, the Lord gave me a promise in 2017 to restore me. Now, through those years, He's been restoring me. I've been restored, helping me get back to myself. But as I'm going through it, I didn't know what was going on. So what I mean by Jesus being tempted by the devil, remember the devil told Jesus, tell these stones to become bread. And Jesus was saying, we live by the word of God, basically. And I would say that's like my first relationship. We knew how to turn stones into bread. Like I'm saying, everything we needed, we knew how to make it work, right? But I knew that wasn't enough. I needed the Lord in my life. The second relationship, it was the devil said, all this I will give you. He took him up to the highest mountain and he told Jesus, all this I will give you if you bow down and worship me. And of course, Jesus was like, I worship only God alone. And with that relationship, that person, same thing. I could have anything I want, but of course, he wanted me to bow down to him. And the problem why I couldn't submit and bow down to him is because when it came to the Lord, he was not submitted to the Lord. So I don't let a man follow me that is not following the Lord. I cannot bow down to you. I cannot submit to you. And at this point in time, I'm not playing along anymore. I'm not following along anymore. I'm not settling because I have a promise from the Lord. So I have a promise. So I'm like, well, this ain't the promise. I got to go. So in the next relationship, it was throw yourself down. And the Lord will command his angels to catch you. Now, that's a verse in Psalms 91. And I know that very well because I said it for almost 2 years in jail every day. And so to throw yourself down, it wasn't the person at this point. Like I said, I wanted that relationship because it was just a friendship. I wasn't looking for a relationship. So to throw yourself down was me feeling like, okay, I can get into whatever I'm getting into and the Lord will get me out. And there's going to be a part 2, so I'll be right back.